Hi, everyone, again.
Hey there.
So,
Hey, Steve.
Good to see you all.
yeah,
Yes.
Mm.
um, I
The
was,
last time we saw you was the horn thing, right? The horn antenna.
It was a big cannoli party, I remember.
Ah.
that's right.
That's my memory. Oh, and there's a horn
Right.
thing in there as well. But yeah,
Right.
I was there. I was there for the cannolis.
Ah.
Every time Steve comes to New Jersey, he's going to have to get cannolis or he'll be disappointed.
I I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah,
Made by Carlo, of course, exactly. They
yeah,
look
so
like little horns too, right? They're little ears.
true, true. Well, we were saying that we probably should clarify that to everyone that knows my husband from his music career, really. He goes by DD, which I think you know that, Steve, that he
Yeah.
goes by DD. And anyone who's met him through family or through me calls him Carlo. So for anyone who's watching this, they're getting an inside look at the name thing and how that works. I never call him Didi. So we can
I,
call him Carlo.
yeah. I mean, my brothers and sisters don't. My children don't. But most of everybody else does. So we were just talking about before, saying, who am I going to be? Are they going to know who they're talking about? And it's like, okay, well, maybe we should just say a little something.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, Steve, that this is going to be our fifth year that we're together, that I'm with you in time, starting the fifth year. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it. Oh, I'm so happy that we have this history now.
I know.
That feels significant. Five feels like a big number.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how overwhelmed I was when we first started the classes and when I became aware of the magnificence of the universe and the power of the alignment and the creativity, the potential, for playing with the universe. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. And so I wanted to really talk with you in particular about it because it really came out of our leadership program and the years that I've been together with you in it. And I think it's a really good example of what I've learned from you and from Jennifer and everybody in our community. So I do definitely want to talk about that.
Me too. And you're such an example of the power of following your allurement, right? As is Carlo or Didi, right? When you follow the music, follow the allurement, and it takes you on a journey. And you don't know where you're going to end up at the end of that. But just kind of having that faithfulness and just following it.
Great. And it keeps coming year after year, day after day. And so what I think we should do is play the video so that it's embedded in this recording. And I'm going ahead and do that. And then we can go from there. Okay.
Sounds great.
People lying, people crying, people dying, and I keep writing a simple little song saying I love you. All together, here forever, more than ever, better late than never. A simple little song says I love you. love you. When you hold me, when you told me love can light the way, it doesn't matter what they say. And if you dream it, if you need it, help is on the way. This breaking heart seems like a start. People lying, people crying, people dying, all this fighting, when all they need is a song saying I love you.
Breathtaking.
I love it.
Very fun.
What's it feel like to see it again?
For me, I guess it's nice to have it done. I mean, it's something me and Lisa talked about like a long time ago. So seeing it all buttoned up and, you know, it's got wings now on display. That's, as you know, a songwriter or artist, is the main thing is main thing is to write the song and just be inspired to do it, you know, but the next thing is to see it have wings and go out, you know, in the world. So it's always, the next part is fun when it's like, well, we're right here now where other people are going to get to kind of see what we've been up to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been a journey at the same time. I mean, maybe you could both talk about where the inspiration came from, or how this idea, you know, first started to grow wings.
Well, I think I had the song first. I guess that was kind of the first thing. And I don't know, you know, Elisa's been involved with Deeptime, so I hear things through the grapevine, all the different kinds of things. And so following your allurements,
The cosmic grapevine.
yeah. But following your allurements is just, I guess as a songwriter, I didn't even know that was, I just had never heard it put into words before. It's like, that's what you always do as a songwriter, whatever that may be, for me anyway. I dance around from, you know, the main band I'm in to, you know, which is a metal band, and I can go play big band music. I can go play, you know, more rock and roll music. And then this is different. I've worked on musicals before. So it's kind of always been part of my life without kind of even that actually knowing that I was kind of involved with that kind of thought process. And this was initially was just a song. I just released a record that I thought maybe this song would be part of. It was part of those writing sessions, and ultimately it did, because just kind of didn't fit with what was going on. But Lisa loved the song, and so her following her allurements and whatever. She jumped in, had a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts, and said, could we do this? Could we do this? What do you think about that? And so then I just kind of finished up on the song, and then kind of gave it over to her, and then she kind of ran with it for a little while. And then we kind of discussed back and forth, what we would do and kind of ideas. It's fun. It was fun. It was just fun at first.
I love that there was
Well,
this synergy and this collaboration too. So Lisa, maybe you talk about your role in the song and how you came into this project.
I love all the songs that Carlo writes. There must be a frequency, a shared frequency, no matter the genre, because I really do love them all. And I love to dance, as you know. Um, but when I heard this song, I I had heard it prior to when we decided to do this. I had heard it in my mind. I saw all kinds of people expressing I love you. And we had talked about it, but then when he recorded it and it was finished, I remember I was riding home in my car and I was listening to it. And I thought, I really want to do this video. Everything with what's been happening in our country, everything has felt like there's such division and such pain, and there's so much climate trauma going on. And, people are just hurting a lot and feeling pretty hopeless. And when I heard it, I thought, this is perfect in terms of what we all really feel. But Carlo and I have really never collaborated on anything. And I've been wanting for some time to have our allurements. We collaborate on a lot of things. We've raised our kids, we've made a life, we've supported each other's careers and pursuits, but we've never done anything that's primary like this. So I'm riding home and I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's not going to want to do this. This is different for him. It was kind of like when I said, you should do this musical. And he said, no, that's too weird for me. And I said, you'll like it. You'll like it. And, eventually he saw that he did like it. But so I came home and we're very open with each other. So, we've been married. How long, Carlo? Like 35 years. We've been together 45 years. We talk about everything. So I decided to tell him that I had this idea and that I felt it was something we could do, but I was kind of bummed because I thought maybe he wouldn't want to show this side of him, this, full picture. But we talked about it, and the next day he said, let's do it. And so thinking about, again, that this is an allurement, and as you've taught me, the universe is all about relationships. The universe is relational. I thought, okay, who else might want to contribute to this? And instead of thinking, oh, we have to go find people on the street or get someone to hire people for us, I just started looking at my matrix, my community, the communities, the hold-ons, all the groups I'm part of. And I just invited people to participate, like you. And to say if people were allured to this, because as I've learned from you and from Sir Meet Conwall, if there's this mutual evocation, this mutual energy that says, oh, let's collaborate, let's co-create, then it will happen. And I really felt like, again, that there was this energy in our greater context of our world, our country, and our communities that wanted to express this, and that me as an expression of the universe was voicing this for us all. And so I reached out to everybody and put out this invitation.
And I love that you're talking about there's this energy, kind of out there in the universe that wanted to express this, right? And it came to you, Lisa, and it came to you, Carlo, independently. And it was kind of nudging at the edges, and saying, pick me, pick me. And you both had the trust to say yes to that. And I love that you were a committed couple, and this kind of led to a new form of collaboration for both of you. But it's also a stretch for each of you. I mean, each of you individually and as a couple. So from my perspective, I'm seeing that this energy wanted something, and wanted to express itself, but also wanted something in your relationships and your relationality. And I found that as well, is when we say yes to allurement, it deepens us and it deepens those who are in contact with allurement as well. Because when I received the invitation to contribute to this, I could only say yes, but it was a stretch for me too. So just every person I'm seeing who came in contact with this project was kind of nudged a little bit forward by it. It's like, yeah, it's like saying I love you, which is another way of saying yes to when allurement knocks at the door.
That's really true, Steve. I love that. It is so true. I asked somebody because one of the really cool things for me has been this isn't released yet, but I've shared the video in individual Zoom meetings with people who contributed, or even other people, but I haven't given it to them, but I've shared it. So I'm right there watching it with them, and to hear their immediate reactions to it, and the stories that then come, because we know there's, it doesn't end here, it just keeps flowing and influencing people. One person, my neighbor, found herself telling me all about these tomato plants that she left for dead in the garden, and how she was allured to take them inside this year. And then she tended to them, brought them to Buffalo with grow lights, traveled with them, really nurtured them, and what emerged with these big tomatoes. And she found herself just sharing that with me right after she watched the video. So that was one of the things that happened. And I asked somebody, why did you feel why did you contribute? And she said, well, because Lisa Verni asked me. And even though it was a stretch for me, and I thought, that's really cool. I really liked that that I had made some kind of a connection with her, that she felt that she could step out of her comfort zone because of that.
And what I'm being struck by is just how we can say I love you in so many different ways. I mean, example of your friend with the tomato plants. I mean, just say I love you, and how they just blossom under that care. And just how people blossom when they're invited into play. I mean, Lisa, I know so much about play, and you too, Carlo. When we invite people into play, it's just like a form of love. It's like, I would love to play with you in this space. And I just felt just the generosity of your invitation, Lisa. It's like, well, if you want to play with me, here's the invitation. Let's dance together. And so I love that so many people kind of outpoured their lives and their love into this music video. It's such a vehicle for people's collective love to come together and just to be celebrated and shared in the community.
I think sometimes too, even that we kind of tend to make things really complicated, or more complicated than they need to be. So I think with the lyrics and kind of part of the song is to just say, kind of at its core, some things are just not that complicated. If you're hungry, have something to eat. If you're tired, have something to sleep. If you need some joy or some love, do whatever that thing is. Because sometimes I can even be, I'll be locked in my studio, and one of my favorite things in the world to do is to sit in there writing songs, just me and a guitar. And, you'll be sometimes thinking to yourself, well, there are people starving out there, and, maybe this is going on. And here I am with just this simple little pleasure. But that's okay. I think that's kind of what I was trying to say in some of the song, that is like maybe just the simple little things, something as simple as that, just saying I love you to the person that you hang out with or spend time with, or being kind to somebody in the store, or going in the studio and writing a song, is worthwhile and in pursuing, like every day, all the time. That's why when I said earlier about the allurement thing, it's like I have always tried to do that. Is always kind of pursuing the thing that's, the shiny, exciting thing that's in front of me, to say, wow, I want to go kind of chase that for a little while. I enjoy doing that.
You also you also were, again, to use a deep time principle, and in terms of your own interiority, you were struggling with what was happening around us too, in a sense of alienation and pain. And you wrote the song for that, out of that feeling too, right? To soothe yourself.
Well, this was probably during COVID when this song probably was written somewhere around in there. I think kind of everybody in the, I was going to say the country, the world, was kind of shut down, so looking for some kind of connection or something to make you feel good and normal or whatever. So I guess that kind of drove it where it came from. Ultimately, I never know where they come from. I just kind of follow them when they show up.
Wake up in the morning and race downstairs and get your recorder out. But
sometimes,
one of the things that we talk about is this, we're trying to remind people that we have this radical belonging because we're all part of the universe. We're all are the universe. We all come from the flaring forth. And so in your writing this for yourself, and then you're sharing it with me, and then me sharing it with everybody, because I'm a good sharer, right? You come out and you perform, so you share that way. I'm a little more comfortable just saying, here's my heart, and opening it up that way. So for us to show a little more of our vulnerability kind of gives people an example of how to do that, and what the fruits are of doing that there is more belonging. We don't have to feel so lonely, so separate, and so sad.
true.
Yeah. And you two are showing examples of the different ways you can do that. I mean, Lisa, you're so good at just being out there with your heart open and vulnerable. And Carly, you wrap it in a song. But it's still your heart going out in the world, and it's,
Yeah.
it's creating a sense of belonging between you and the world, but it's also expressing something with the world too. And people have different ways of doing that, and that's fine. I mean, that's how people are. So every person has their own way of doing it. And especially when it's tied to your creativity, it's so powerful. And Carly, you've had a long-term practice of songwriting and music creation, so you've been in touch with your creativity in an ongoing way, and so you're really constantly listening, for where the edge is and what's calling you next. And so I'm really appreciating that you have this dedication to listening and then writing down what you heard.
Yeah, I think it seems something that seems so innate for me because I've been doing it for so long is not as much for other people. I hear that sometimes from Lisa with the deep time and the principles and the different things that for some people that can be a newer feeling to pay attention to that. I don't even know that I kind of put all the things together, in a deep time kind of way. I just, from years of practice of being aware and just being in the moment a little bit more. And it could be anything for me. It could be, the side of a building has a cool look and I take a picture for use for something else, or, anything that I might see or hear. I can remember using, hearing a coffee machine on our tour bus, making a sound and recording it saying, oh, I got this. And it's just paying attention to the things around you and knowing that you're going to connect them later. And Lisa says, that's deep time. That's, that's what we're doing. I'm like, oh, okay.
But very interestingly, these courses are coming up in deep time, right? Brian Swim's course about autocosmology, and then the advanced leadership course about autocosmology, and thinking about the events in our lives and how our cosmic gifts were emerging and are always emerging. And I've been thinking a lot about that because when I was a little girl, one of the things I used to do a lot is write thank you notes to people. And I think, again, like you're saying, Steve, it's an expression of I love you. It's an expression of I see you, you matter. I enjoyed this time together. And it's not a surprise, I think, that Carlo and I met when we were very young. And we saw this in each other, and we were very committed to fostering this flourishing of our unique expressions and embodiments. So we've had that all this time. And it's really a gift, right, Carlo, that we dream together and we encourage each other. I mean, it's how we were raised also, I think. Don't you, Carlo?
Yeah, I for sure. I mean, we both come from families that put a lot of emphasis and a lot of weight on that, and on that being a priority, and as well as other things, working hard, and but being kind was a big thing, certainly at my house. Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Carlo, because I was going to tell Steve that Carlo, how would you say it? It's your highest value, I think, that and loyalty, but being kind. People might
Yeah.
not be that the big, wrecking your neck guy out there, but really people don't realize that your heavy metal band is really all about having fun.
I think that's true of a lot of people from the outside. You can see what goes on at a heavy metal show, and it's to the untrained eye, it can look a little like chaos and pandemonium, and but there's, even with that, I've been in a metal band since I'm 20 whatever years old, and the community, the metal community, is just, they're just kind of suburban dads at this point. We talk about our kids. Some of them have grandkids. We've been doing it forever.
All over the world, suburban kids.
Yeah, I mean, good guys, good people. So just, again, just kind of like another example of kind of seeing what's out there and being open to it. And not being afraid of it. It's like, oh, okay, I'll wander over with those guys a little bit and see what's going on.
Steve, I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So when you got the invitation to offer a submission, you decided to have your son, or how did that all come about? Can you tell us how you got Lavender involved, and Honey, and how that all felt for you guys?
Oh, well, it's just so obvious that this is just the most innocent love affair I have in my household on a daily basis, is my son's love of our 3-year-old golden retriever mix, Honey. And, they play together, they wrestle together. I mean, they're like two puppies all the time. They're inseparable. And so it's just easy to see, I love you. And he's just so expressive, and she's so expressive too. So I knew I had to film the two of them having some kind of interaction. So it's just, they're in my life, and immediately it's like, okay, this is it, right? Yeah, we need to kind of put this on camera and have this be, forefront for I love you, because they just express it so naturally with each other.
They have the same
animals
expressions, the same facial expressions.
They do, and animals and children, they have that innocence and just that innocent expressiveness, and that's really what I felt behind the song. It's just, hey, let's, at the end of the day, let's just say I love you, right? Because that's really what we really want to hear. And that's really what we need right now. Just boil it down to the simplicity. It's like, that's what it comes down to.
How has it been for him to see it?
I don't think he quite realizes. It's like, oh, this is just a video, on Dad's computer. He doesn't realize it's going to be out there, in the world soon. And when he releases it, yeah, exactly. And so I think he'll continue to be touched by it. I think he really enjoyed it. But he's a spinning top, and so he's on to the next thing and on to the next thing. So it wasn't a huge day in his life like it is for me. But I love that's going to be out there, and his face and his love is going to be are part of this movement. It's not just a song. As you guys said, it's a movement that's happening, right? The Saying I Love You movement.
Well,
And these are the
I
kinds of
mean,
movements we need.
right. It's funny. That's a similar story to, some of the other ones we've heard. Some of my brothers and sisters have contributed, and cousins, and friends, and kind of everybody's got a different story about, the first thing that came to mind was, I was going to have to grab my mother and do something, or I was going to have to grab my son or my dog, or, whatever it is. It kind of rushed to their mind pretty quickly. Who do I want to say I love you to? Or who would I say that to? Or who visually comes to mind for that? And that's good to put in people's heads. Make them kind of focus on that and go say, oh yeah, this will be fun.
For me, there were a number of things that I put into the video that I had taken a picture of, or there was a video of, that again, we don't know where the story is going, right? We do something at a certain point, and then it turns into something else. The palm trees in the video, that's where we go in St. Thomas. And I've been going to St. Thomas. We've been going to St. Thomas for 30 years. So those palm trees have been there and have been an allurement and a touchstone, and even a couple that it's like they're sashaying there on the water's edge. And I just imagine myself moving like that when I dance.
And I love that every image and video in the video has a story behind it. So I love that, Lisa. And maybe you could share a little bit more about your process of putting together the video. So I know that was something you did.
Yeah, that was really fun. There were some that I knew exactly where they were going to go, like your son right there, help is on the way. And my sister with her dog Rosie is right after. And so, and there's a few animals in there. Gretchen has her little dog Griffey in there. And to hear what all of these special, more than human beings are to people and the relationships they have. And even people who didn't necessarily put something in there, they're still a part of it, right? Because we're all a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether we're visible in this particular video or not, we all matter. And I was telling Carlo about how we think of a functional cosmology, which again is a big loaded word, big word there, mouthful there, but that when people are being their authentic selves, and we recognize that there is room for everyone in terms of differentiation, people's uniqueness, we really are living at full potential then. The most creative we can be, and the most potential for solutions, kind of like this video of transforming this real downer feeling everyone was having, and then listening to this and being uplifted. Someone said it's like an upper to watch the video. But as I was putting it together, I the clip of me in that outfit, on the penguin outfit on the water where I'm dancing. Well, that was the video that I made for our 5-minute story in the Deeptime leadership program. That's where that came from. So that was, talk about a stretch, going out there and putting on this weird costume and being out in the middle of daytime out on the ocean. I mean, you may think that I just run right out there and show it all, but I'm kind of shy, but I feel like there must be something about me that feels okay enough. Well, I have to say it's probably because of my marriage to Carlo, because I feel supported and safe. And you love that part, right? Where I go out in the ocean and by the
That's my favorite part. Yes.
right. And the kids, our daughter was looking at it saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be putting that in." And Carlo's like, "That's my favorite part." Well, why is it your favorite part?
Well, she said, you can't put that in. You look crazy. I was like, that's why I like it. I think I think you do look crazy. That was a crazy day out there filming that and doing that. It was fun. It was fun. Kind
Well,
of, any parent who has kids knows that, part of our job is to just make them as uncomfortable as possible and embarrass them with our craziness. And,
when we're
that was
weird,
just,
as
you're
soon as
right.
we're here,
Whatever.
we've accomplished something that if
Yeah.
we're
Right.
do you feel
What
like
is,
that?
go ahead.
What?
I was going to say, what is the lyric for that? I forget what it says there. It's not "Help Is on the Way." That was the other one you said. Oh, it doesn't matter what they say.
Yeah.
Well, that could be our family's mantra, or our relationship mantra. That's where the heavy metal came in, right?
Probably.
You don't care. Some type of rebellion. We'll do it our way. See, we had a head start, Steve.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
We
Do
were
it your way and go out and have
turbocharged.
fun. Exactly. Right. And have fun doing it. And, it looks like you're having fun throughout the whole video.
Well, I want to go back to Deep Time for a second, though, because I I wouldn't say I've changed a lot. I would say that I've become more of who I am through Deep Time.
I think that's exactly right. Right. And you pointed to that earlier, saying, we're here to really become ourselves more fully. I mean, you said that in a different way, but to become our unique, whoever we are, and even if our kids think that's crazy or weird, we're just being ourselves. And that's radical sometimes. I mean, it's a radical act, right? In a society that wants everyone to conform and buy the same laundry soap and, all that. I mean, just being yourself is a radical act of self-love.
Well, Steve, you are so exceptional at seeing people's unique gifts and reflecting them back to people and creating that safe playground for us all. You really, I just the other day when we were together, I was thinking about it again, and just you're doing that, I think it relaxes me so that I feel like I can be more myself.
I'm really glad to hear that, because that's something that Deep Time has given me, is this honing this capacity to reflect back people who they are. And I know that's part of your work as well, Lisa, as a therapist and a cosmic lamplighter, just to reflect back just the incredible essence of who's in front of you, or whether it's human, more than human, but just to say, I celebrate you exactly the way you are, which is another way of saying I love you, right? And also encouraging people to say I love you to themselves, right? Self-love as this ultimate act of saying I love you, right? Because we have to love ourselves as well as others.
I've been thinking a lot about how when we think of ourselves as special, I think in our culture, too often that can then sound like, well, we're special and someone else isn't, or something else isn't. And I think that we all are trying to migrate from a competitive winner take all way of living to more complementary, collaborative living where there is room at the table for everybody's unique gifts. And to be fully ourselves doesn't have to mean that someone else has less. I know that's a complicated thing. But I feel like, again, that this song gets to it. What do you
You're
think,
so
Carl?
right, Lisa. Yeah.
I think that's, probably true in life in general. You know, in the song sometimes too is just like us working together, but then us working with Nick too, who did the video, who was the videographer on the thing, was another person I had kind of worked with on some other projects and done some other things with. And he kind of came in here and he offered up some different things too. He had some different view. He did all the editing on it. He did all the filming on it. He was excited, so he kind of came to the party too and contributed. He bought into the song and what was going on. And again, how does it fit into, I'm sure, knowing Nick, that he has no idea how it fits into a Deeptime perspective, but he's an artist, and a singer and a producer and, a million other hats that he wears. So him just kind of coming and participating too is just more of the same, so kind of every aspect along the way, the song, the lyrics, the video, everything is kind of bringing that point home to do that. And so hopefully if we get it out there and it kind of puts those kinds of vibes out there, it'll encourage more people to, think that way, be that way, pursue those kinds of thoughts and ideas, maybe visit Deeptime and see what that's about.
Well, also that people, what you're saying is that people can be different, and different points of view can come together for an even greater outcome. Like Nick's perspective coming in to do the video. And I think what was really cool too, Steve, was that this was completely coincidental that the performance part of the video is filmed at Brookdale Community College in their Performing Arts Center, where Sarmeet, the TEDx talk where Sarmeet just did his awe talk, he did it right up there on the same stage. I mean, what are the chances of that? That was
Amazing.
just a really separate way we got to that location. But yeah, Nick was phenomenal, and he did all that in 2 hours. He captured all of that in 2 hours and then edited it and really got the tone of it right. But yes, of course, he doesn't know that he knows Deeptime. See, Deeptime is here. It's not something out there. It's everywhere.
So I'm being told.
You're already in it.
Yeah, that's what I hear. So,
yeah.
I'll stay with it, I guess.
Well, and funny to hear these kind of synchronicities or coincidences that kind of come up around the project too. And so maybe you two can look for those, in other parts of your life, as this project makes its way into the world, where are things lighting up in response to it, right? I think it'll be so interesting to sort of see how the project ripples out and just the ripples upon ripples that it's going to create, or that it's already creating. So people are excited about the launch coming up soon. I wonder if there's a way for people to stay in touch with how it's impacted them, or, seeing where the video's found its way.
I think that's what's so cool and that I've learned too, that we don't need to know.
Yeah.
In fact, we can allow things to unfold. I've really learned the power of that. I used to be a person that felt I had to do everything and make everything happen. And I've learned to be much more of a receiver of what I'm perceiving in the greater context and around me. One of the things that we are going to do with this is there will be a GoFundMe campaign. We're going to attach it to the YouTube link. And if people want to contribute a little bit of money for scholarship for the leadership program for the future, for the young people especially, I just feel like I got so much from it all. And if others can receive some of that too. But having conversations with people, just to go back to the video for a second, when I showed it to somebody, I had my computer with me. I don't know why. It was up on the beach. I don't know. Oh, no, it's on my phone. So there was a mom there that we've known from town. Our kids were friends when they were younger, and she's an artist. And I showed her the video, and she teaches preschool now. And she right away started saying that she talks with the kids about whatever they're doing, that's their gift. They're gifting that to the world. Now, she's not a Montessori teacher per se, but so in that couple of moments that I was with her and we were talking about it, I shared all about that, we're the universe, and she got it because, of course she got it, because we're all the universe. We all remember, oh yeah, duh, we are. And it was just so cool to engage with her that way, to talk to her about it and to reflect back her radiance.
That's so beautiful. And, you know, I hope she shows it to the kids too. I mean, I can just imagine preschoolers watching the video and then saying, I love you to each other. I mean, just, it's like, it's a video that, you know, kind of nudges a practice. It's like, well, when did you say I love you? And how did that make a difference in that person's life? Like there could be a whole companion book to this, like stories of I love you and the difference it made in those people's lives.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I
I like
mean,
that
it's
idea
part of the
too.
movement, right? It's
Let's
like go
go.
out there and say I love you, right? And then, you know, talk about how that made you feel and how that make the other person feel. Because it could
Yeah,
change someone's life to hear that at the right time.
I know.
Yeah.
It really can. And there are people from all areas of our life, neighbors, friends of mine from book club, and people who have been in Carlo's world are in that too. And Deeptime people. How was it to see the other Deeptime people in the?
It's great. I love seeing people I recognize and also people I didn't know. It's like, oh, but you recognize the love that's there.
Uh-huh.
You
I
know,
love
and
that
there's just,
picture. I love that picture of you and Orla.
oh, isn't that fun on the train? Yeah.
And there's so much green in there. Have you noticed that you guys are wearing green, or I don't know what it is. I have to go back and actually look at it, but I always associate green with it.
I'll have to look at that. I hadn't noticed that before. Interesting.
And that was after the big weekend together.
We were on our way to the airport together after the Horn and Ten event.
You look very
Yeah.
happy in it.
Yeah. Satisfied. It's a very fulfilling
That is,
event.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, I don't know that there's too much more. Do you have any other questions for us or comments or things you want to add?
Well, I mean, what would be your wishes for the Saying I Love You movement, right? As you launch this into the world and, you know, as this allurement graduates and, takes his wings, what would be your wishes?
Hmm.
I don't know. We talked about it a little bit and said, like, you know, to kind of set out without expectations, right? You know, we're just like, we'll just kind of let it float away. But you're always gonna, I guess, have a little bit, right? I mean, don't we think we have a little bit, like, it just kind of makes somebody's day a little bit brighter, or maybe something significant for somebody, that really needed to see it on a kind of a bad day, or it seems like something so little. I a lot of times think about that. There's a program called Toys for Tots, right, at Christmas time, where they raise money and they just buy toys for kids who don't have Christmas toys. And it seems sometimes so just inane that they're why to have a toy for a kid when some kids need food, some kids are have different things. But I just like the idea that something simple like that, just a little toy, it could be a ball or any little thing like that. And I think about this sometimes the same thing. It's just nothing groundbreaking here. It's just a little song, quick little thing, a quick little melody. But it's that kind of thing. Maybe it just makes somebody's day better. I don't know. What about you, Lise?
Yeah, I'm remembering that a couple of things. One is that just doing this with you, Carlo, just the two of us playing together with it was really, if that's all it is, that's very fulfilling to me. I had a good time with that. I know this year we've been doing more things like this. I think Steve knows this, but painting by numbers, you're doing that. Now I'm working on fabric art where I'm taking photographs and turning them into fabric art. So that's all over the kitchen. You just finished one of your paint by numbers and starting another one, but we have our injuries, right? My back hurts, so I have to stand, and Carlo can only do so much with his shoulders. So that part, but also and then being able to collaborate with the people who contributed and then the conversations. But I think one of the things I've learned is to just keep following that allurement, just keep following that sparkle of energy, just trust the universe, and it will emerge or turn into something else. In fact, the video itself kind of came out of an initial idea that Carlo and I had last year. We were going to collaborate on maybe opening a theater in town. And that didn't go anywhere because of some stuff that was happening, but we started to play the piano together and sing in the studio together. And then eventually we got to this video. I think just sharing it, one of the things I've asked people when I've showed it to them is, and I'll ask you, Steve, is, do you have any ideas? Is the universe offering any ideas of how to share this through you, through each person that watches it?
Well, I shared before because I see it's part of a movement, right? So the video is a way of saying I love you, to the world, and encouraging the world to say I love you more, and just for people to share their stories. I mean, I love hearing stories about when someone said I love you, and it made a difference. So I could see that as one way the video could keep going out there. And it's almost like you put a message in the bottle and just throw it in the ocean and just see who gets it and writes you back. So I think it would just be great to hear from people, where does this video end up? And I don't know if there's a way to tag it or track it, or just encourage people, write us with this story, I love you story, and let us know how you were inspired by this video.
I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to take that idea, Steve, and run with that.
Yeah.
Well, you're a storyteller yourself. You love the story and everything. You always see that.
I do. Well, so do you. We have that in common, and Carla too, because you're storytelling through music. So we're all storytellers here, and we all enjoy stories and telling them and listening to them. And people's stories are just fascinating.
I know.
So,
I love that.
yeah.
I love hearing that. So thank you for asking all these great questions and sharing it with us, and being with us in our home not that long ago. And that was fun, and we'll continue.
That's great.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me to be a part of the project and to have this conversation. It's so much fun to see you all.
You too.